Going live on sound.
Hi, I'm Mark and this is Lavana. As City Grants applications are coming to a close on the 30th of June, we wanted to jump online today and have a chat with you about some of the frequently asked questions we get about the grants program. We recently held a Facebook Live and this one we'll be covering some of the questions we got asked in that live and give a recap on some of the useful need-to-know information.
So, a quick recap of what City Grants is. We have up to $250,000 to support individuals, groups and organisations in developing projects that can, with some innovative thinking, deliver important outcomes for our city's public spaces. Applicants can apply for up to $50,000 and our grants support a range of different projects, from arts activities to sustainability projects and research and development. You might have heard about our City Grants rounds in the past, but in response to the COVID-19 situation, this round is going to look a little bit different. What we're looking for in this round are projects that can contribute to returning the life, heart and soul to our vibrant city and show a clear benefit to local businesses, as well as aiding the recovery for all of us from COVID-19. So now that we've covered the main points, let's get into some of the frequently asked questions. On our first Facebook Live feed, we got asked if the grants program is only for events. Mark, can you elaborate on this?
Sure. Our City Grants support a wide array of projects, including arts activities, short-term installations, events, research and development, and education and training opportunities. All projects must demonstrate a contribution to the vitality and renewal of the city centre and meet our grant guidelines, which are available on our website. In short, the grants program is open to much more than just events. The most important thing to remember when applying is that we're looking for projects that can really support our city centre businesses.
So, where can an applicant hold their project?
Great question. City grants are funded through the City Centre Marketing and Improvements Levy, so grant activity has to be held within this area. The purpose of the program is to develop and support the social and economic vitality of Civic, Braddon and Acton. One area we are commonly asked about is whether applicants can hold their project in Hague Park. Lavana will give you some more information about this particular area.
So Hague Park is a really important piece of public space which is vital to Braddon businesses. City Grants funding can support projects in a section of Hague Park which borders Mort Street, Torrens Street and Lonsdale Street. There's a handy map on our website that clearly highlights this space.
Another question that we're often asked is, can a project be held inside or is it only outside in public space?
So your project could be held inside, but we'd much prefer that that option is a backup plan in case of bad weather. We want to see applications that make great use of public space and invite and connect people to it and to each other. Indoor spaces can be considered as a contingency, but maybe not necessarily as the first option. And if the activity is indoors, it will need to meet the ACT government rules for gathering indoors at the time of the activity. Okay, throwing back to you, Mark. Can an applicant submit more than one application?
Another good question. If you have two great separate ideas, submit more than one application. If you've got a single idea that's scalable, and by that I mean it can either be large or small, apply for the higher tier of funding and include the potential options in your application. It's really important to think clearly about what it is you want to achieve from your project and convey that in your application.
Okay, so is there any other useful information applicants can use to help align their project to what the City Renewal Authority is already doing in the city?
Yep, so we've got some great background documentation on our website. I'd encourage everyone to jump online and have a look at that stuff before they apply. So some of these documents outline what we're hoping to achieve in the city centre. For example, we have place plans for Braddon and Hague Park, which outline actions we'd like to achieve for these areas. If you're planning on holding your project in either of these locations and able to align your project with the actions in these plans and can show that you have considered how the project will support these plans, it will definitely give your application an edge. Another commonly asked question is how the applications are actually assessed.
Okay, so firstly, applications are all assessed for feasibility by the City Renewal Authority. Applications under Tier 1, so up to $10,000, are then assessed against the City Grants assessment criteria by the City Renewal Authority. Applications under Tier 2 are assessed by an independent panel consisting of representatives from relevant government agencies or directorates and external stakeholders, including the levy payers and the creative sector. One other thing, we're aiming to notify successful applicants by early August. All right, so now let's check the Facebook feed and see if we've had any questions come through that we can help answer. While Mark's doing that, one of the questions we do get asked is, oh, I've got a question, who do I talk to? You can send us an email at cityrenewal@act.gov.au, or you can have a little squirrel on the website and find my phone number, which we'll give you at the end of this, and you can give me a call and I can answer your questions for you. So we got any questions?
Yep, so I've got a question here from a Lara. Lara wants to know what happens if it rains.
Wet weather plans. So it's really important that if you're doing an event that is a date-specific thing and it requires you to be outside, that you have a wet weather contingency. Now, what that is up to you, but things to think about could be talking to local businesses in the area near your event, or having another date in mind. If you do have another date in mind, you'll need to have a clear timeline that says when you need to make that decision about weather. So then you can properly inform anyone who is planning on attending.
Got another question here from Sarah, who wants to know about COVID-19 and foreseeable future requiring seated ticketed events.
Okay.
So I can probably give some information on that one. One of the big things that we really need applicants to do in this particular round is be conscious and think about the types of restrictions that are currently in place and that potentially might be in place when their activity is presented. So what we're really looking for is applications that cover off flexibility in their approach and can scale delivery based on the restrictions in place at that particular time.
I think flexibility is key in these applications, particularly for this round. And one thing you'll also need to do is always refer to the ACT Government COVID-19 website. That's got the best information for you. It's a big resource hub that has information for people who want to hold events, for businesses, and which in turn means for anyone applying for a city grant as well.
Got another question that's just come through here. Can the CRA help me with advertising and promotion?
Oh, okay. So if you're a successful applicant, you will need to have a really great marketing and advertising and an idea, a plan for how you're going to tell people about your project. In line with that, the City Renewal Authority will help share those things along with in our social media and that kind of thing. And if you look back at the City Renewal Authority previous grants, you'll see some examples of where that's happened as well.
Another question we've just got through here about insurance and whether it's required. I can probably give some information on that. You don't need to have insurance at the time when you're applying. When we say insurance, we're mainly talking about public liability insurance. What you do need to articulate in your application is that you understand the requirements that you would need to have it when you present activity, and include information in your application about how you would obtain this, whether you've already got a quote for it, what level of cover you need, and what activities that covers for you. So again, basically it's about articulating that you know what you need to do when it does come time to actually deliver.
Great.
Got another question here, and I think this one really useful for you, Lavana. Can the City Renewal Authority provide chairs, tables, AV equipment, etc. for the event that I'm applying to run? All right.
I have a great amount of kit with the City Renewal Authority that can help you with your event. So if your event, installation, project, whatever, might need some tables, some chairs, some bean bags, I can definitely assist you in, we can have a look and see if there's something that would work for you. In terms of AV gear, not really, but feel free to give me a call and talk to me about what it is that you'd be planning to do, and I can have a look through our suppliers and see if we've got something that might be appropriate for you to use.
And another question to follow on from that one, who do we contact if we've got a question?
All right, so I mentioned this just before, so if you would like to speak to someone, give me a call. My name's Lavana, I'm the City Place Manager. My phone number is on the City Renewal Authority website, or you can send us an email, cityrenewal@act.gov.au. All that information is on the City Renewal Authority website as well.
Cool, that's great, Lavana. Another question coming through, there's quite a few here.
Wow, we've got lots today. This is great.
So how does the CRA feel about events that target a niche or micro audience, as in the events that are really aiming to bring, as opposed to events that are aiming to bring lots of people into the area?
Oh, look, normally it would have been, no, we want the bigger the better, more people, because we do want to support the economic viability of our city. But as a result of COVID-19, if your application's a strong application and it is bringing people into a space in a safe way, in an interesting way, and it's a flexible concept that you can perhaps partner with some other businesses or other people doing other activities, then it'll definitely be considered. It wouldn't be an immediate no, that's for sure.
Yep. And I'd probably say the other important thing to remember is, as Lavana mentioned, that we are in a very different environment than we're normally used to operating in. So one of the things that we're really looking for is how applicants are going to bring people into space, as Lavana mentioned, in a safe and responsible manner. So you might even be looking at, as opposed to a traditional event that's aiming to bring 1,000 people into a particular place over a 2-hour period, how can you still bring in 1,000 people over a 2-day period as opposed to a 2-hour period?
That's right.
How do you stretch that activity across so we can still achieve the same outcomes, but within the current constraints that we have, or the constraints we might have at the time?
Yeah.
Another question that we've got here, will the CRA fund events designed to draw a larger crowd if the application has a plan in place in order to manage socially distanced crowds?
I think as long as the application clearly identifies how you will do that, and that you're referencing the ACT government rules and restrictions on how people can gather in public places, that it's, as long as you're adhering to all of those things, there's no reason that would be an issue.
Yep, that's pretty useful.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, we've mentioned the application details there and how you contact people, but Lavana, is there anything else you think applicants really need to know at the moment?
I think one of the things that we really want to see in your applications is exactly what you're wanting to do. So if you have images or references to things that you've done before that are similar, please include those. Assume we know nothing. Even if we've had a conversation over the phone or via email, in the application, we're not going to be the ones who are necessarily reading through the application. So make sure that it's really clear what you want to do, where you want to do, how you're going to do it. All of those, the who, what, when, where, why, needs to be really clearly articulated.
Yep, and as we touched on before briefly, it's really important to develop your application based on the space you're going to be using. We're looking for applications that respond to their environment and really, drive people to experiencing those unique things about the particular spaces in the city centre.
And on that, if you're unsure about which location you might like to use, I'm free for a chat, for a walk, socially distanced, a bike ride. We can go for a wander through the public spaces and you can talk to me about the different places you're thinking about. And I might be able to give you some extra information about the kinds of activities that normally happen in that place or that have never happened in that place. You might get to see some of the businesses that you didn't realise were there. So it's really important that you visit in the places that you're thinking of having your project.
Yep, that's some great information there, Lavana.
Cool.
If people do actually want to speak to you in the place, is that possible?
Yeah, totally. I'm very happy to meet up with you. The next 2 weeks, I'll try and keep fairly free because I know that applications will be being finalised. As we have mentioned previously, the deadline is 3 p.m. on the 30th of June. So you've got a few weeks to still get your ducks in a row. And if I'm one of those ducks that you'd like to walk and talk with, happy to do that and meet with you in any of our city or Braddon's public places.
That's
cool.
Great.
We got any more questions that have come through, or we're
just having a look here. So another one we've got is, when does the next round open after this one?
Oh, I don't think we've gone into that quite yet.
Yep. So the current round is for applications that can deliver activity right up until the 30th of June 2021. It's possible that we may launch another round later in the year, depending on how many successful applicants we have from this round. But yeah, I'd strongly recommend that if you are planning activity for later in the year, that you put an application in this particular round.
Great.
Just having a look at the feed here to see if we do have any more questions. I've got another one here. So how does the CRA feel about funding a second iteration or another revision of an application that's previously been funded? So, can applicants apply for activity that's already been funded? So I think we have had some instances where applicants have received funding in more than one round for a similar project. The main thing that you need to consider is what's different this time. What are you delivering that's not the same? We're amenable to funding activity that has been delivered before, but we just need to know how you've grown the activity. What's different? What are the things that you're really going to be giving back?
And how it will connect people to each other, and how it will connect people to those places in a way that is, I guess, it's of particular importance now. Not that it ever wasn't, but it's definitely more important now that whatever your application is, it really does show connections between people. Cool. All right. It seems like we're done. If you do have other questions, feel free to add them in the Facebook Live later. We will be monitoring that. But you can also send them through to cityrenewal@act.gov.au, or look for my name on the website, Lavana, and you can find my phone number and give me a buzz.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.